Yeah, hey now. Good morning, PSW staff, clients, friends. Joining us for Film Scoring Monday, where we look at a scene and I take out the music. You think of the best possible choice. I can't believe how many we've done, and you guys get better and better. I love that. It's so fun, and you guys always introduce me to new music that I hadn't heard before. Mostly everything you send me, I've never heard before. So it's great selfish learning tool for me too. So thank you for that. It was fun, right? I mean, high noon last week, that was good. You guys did a great job with those results. I thought we'd, since summer's ending soon, we should do maybe a summer movie before we get into the fall curriculum. So today we're going to look at the 1989 American fairy tale-like movie, Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams, a sports fantasy drama written and directed by Phil Alden Robinson. He did Sneakers and Sum of All Fears. He directed it, and it's adapted from Shoeless Joe, the novel in 1982. It stars, Kevin Costner, and his character builds a baseball field. Probably most of you guys know this, even if you haven't seen the movie. He builds it in his cornfield, and this brings in and attracts ghosts, baseball legends, and they come out and start playing baseball in his backyard, in his field, and really some nice moments in the movie. Some people, this is some people's favorite movie. It's we'll look at the music and the composer, but first we got to get out there, right? You ready to go to Iowa? I'm not, but no, I'll take you with me. Let's go to Iowa, and this is where they built, and it's still there today, the baseball field. They constructed it in 1988, 89, and they left it up. You can go and visit it. It's a very, very big tourist destination because they made a real baseball field in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of cool. If this comes out in 89, I really hate to go down this rule because looking back at movies, they weren't so much better back then, but they were so much better back then. In 1989, what else is going on? With this sports fantasy drama, we have some really great movies. We've talked about Batman. Batman comes out. When Harry Met Sally comes out, that's going to change a lot of comedy. That's adult comedy. Dead Poet Society is out this year. One of my favorites, Robin Williams. Back to the Future Part 2 is out this year. Driving Miss Daisy. The Little Mermaid. Great music in that. And then The Simpsons are now starting to, for first episodes. So that's going to change TV. Make it more for adults, especially cartoons and animation. That was kind of one of the first. This was big. It got very positive reviews. Nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Original Score, and Best Adapted Screenplay. So just a brief rundown. I kind of mentioned it, but Ray, who's Kevin Costner, he hears a voice one night, and it's saying the famous line, "If you build it, he will come." So he's in financial trouble, and he tells his wife, I think I need to build a baseball field in my backyard, which is, ludicrous, but he's like, if I build it, these guys will come out and play. And, it's got a lot to do with his own dad and his own personal issues. And so he builds a baseball diamond, and his wife Annie, supports him. And then baseball ghosts, the great players, start coming in and playing baseball in his field, led by Ray Liotta, Shoeless Joe Jackson. And, it goes ups and downs throughout the story. Last film of Burt Lancaster, the great Burt Lancaster, he was 74 of this. Jimmy Stewart turned it down because he was still alive, but Burt took this on. And music, again, I mean, I really don't go out of my way to pick this composer, but I feel like we talk about James Horner every week, and I mean, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but I can't believe how many movies he scored. You know, I kind of just go on what's important, you know, what are the important scores, and he happened to write a lot of them, especially in the 80s and 90s, but, you know, up until Titanic and Avatar. He wasn't sure if he could do it because he had other obligations and stuff, but when he watched A Rough Cut, he was like, I have to do this movie. He thought it was so great. And the score is kind of ethereal. It's a little bit ghostly, you know, not scary haunted, but it's a fairy tale like movie. It's kind of an adult fairy tale movie because it's, you know, it's not real, obviously. And there's pianos, there's, you know, there's some flutes, there's, you know, pan pipes. It's magical. It kind of almost sounds like we scored the Malaga Beanfield, Dave Grusin's film. It's not as melodic as that, and it doesn't sound Mexican at all, but it sounds like that landscape kind of type music. You know, that's in New Mexico. This is in Iowa, but there's something about that kind of open field sound, and we get that from what composer? The composer that came up with the American sound, Aaron Copland, right? We talked about Aaron Copland and how do you write something that's sort of like evocative of a prairie, of an open prairie? How does music, if you were to say, well, and remember, he wrote Appalachian Spring before he knew it was going to be called that, but he somehow wrote something American sounding, and James Horner sounds really American sounding. This score does not sound at all like it's a French film, like it's an indie film. This is updated Copland. Probably Copland would be writing kind of this kind of music if he was still alive. And, you know, of course, the fanfare for The Common Man. Like, I mean, that just sounds so American with the brass and Charles Ives before Copland. See how much we know that we're learning, remember all these guys. So James Horner is kind of using that piano, the chimes, the open space. So the scene we're going to score is, you know, the last scene. Usually we do the beginning or the end or something, you know, without dialogue, because it's impossible to take out the dialogue, the music when there's dialogue, I should say. So, but this is a great scene. It's a really exciting scene because this is at the end when, you know, he's not sure if this is all going to work, and it's this beautiful aerial shot, you know, a helicopter. Why don't we just look at it? Yeah, let's look at it without the music first and see if any ideas come to mind. Very cool, right? I wonder what kind of moods came to your mind right there. Very cool cinematic shot for sure. So, I mean, there's, you know, hundreds and hundreds of cars approaching the field, right? And they're pretty much saying, yes, we will come if you build it. So even, you know, not only the ghosts coming, but, you know, the people, all those cars are coming because he built it. So that's kind of cool. So let's look at the same scene with the music. So much more powerful with the music, right? As opposed to kind of being a confusing helicopter aerial shot with, you know, it could be science fiction or it could be something different, but the score is very calming, assuring, American sounding. It's such a great shot. It you know, there's this shot required a blackout of the whole town, to make this shot. So about 1,500 locals, were enlisted. So the traffic, they were all in a standstill, and so drivers had to flash their lights to kind of look like they were moving, but they weren't. So that's kind of a cool, how they made that scene work. That was kind of, I'm always interested in the making, and so I like to share that stuff. So that's how the director got that effect, to make it look like, traffic was slowly moving in there. So so think of something that would fit well. We probably want to make it sound American-like sounding music. It could be classical music, but something like but let's. I don't know. What do you think? I'm kind of thinking. Yeah, let's make it sound America, and I'll work with you on this because American. Something like Shostakovich won't work because that just sounds really Russian, doesn't it? And other composers that we've talked about. So a lot of other film scores, any other James Horner would be great. Danny Elfman's a little playful, but who knows? I'm leaving it up to you. Just send me stuff and I'll tell you yes or no in a polite way. So hope you enjoyed this, Field of Dreams. Really fun movie. And get it to me by tomorrow, by Tuesday. And I'll see the results for Friday. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye.